Solution-focused therapy is an approach that was developed at the Mental Research Institute in California. Solution-focused therapy is more short-term and is directed strictly towards the client's future. It focuses on ways that the client can resolve their issue as well as reach their goals. It focuses on strengths, and the social worker will provide resources that will help the client solve the issue. The social worker will focus on 3 main concepts during the appointment. It'll be the assessment, goal setting, and then the intervention. The social worker has to be very focused on making sure that they're pertaining to the relevant problem rather than trying to address every single problem that the client might be having. Basically what I'm saying is you don't have to know why a client is doing what they're doing. You just need to know what's going on and focus on the future. It's more short term, like I said, so you're focusing on what can we do from here rather than, well, let's talk about the background or the reason behind why you're doing what you're doing. The social worker also needs to kind of understand that the client doesn't have to be cured. They're just looking for a change. The only thing that the social worker has to make sure of is that the intervention is focused primarily on the strengths of the client. So upon meeting the client, when you're going into the 3 steps, the social worker needs to make sure that the client feels that they're building rapport and that they're not being judged. And the social worker needs to make sure that they're not trying to interpret what the client is really trying to say. The steps are the social worker needs to hear the client say the problem in their own language. And while you're building that rapport, the social worker needs to have a collaborative relationship and that lets the client know that they can communicate on a relaxed level without the client thinking that the social worker is a professional problem solver. The social worker needs to express how eager they are to help, and hopefully they can successfully assist in reaching the client's goals. This is going to build positivity in the client and hopefully leaving them feeling more hopeful and positive. So next is the assessment. In the assessment, the social worker has to stay focused on de-emphasizing problem talk. You want to stay focused on the solutions rather than negatives or the past. This is going to allow the client to think in a more positive way, and they're not stuck on everything that's going wrong in their life. The intervention is the next step. The client needs to focus on concrete solutions to the problem. They need to come up with exceptions to their problem because life is very unexpected and things can happen. So they need to know how to handle those things if something does occur. The client needs to know that they're not perfect and they're going to have slip-ups. So they need to know how to handle that as well, and some resources that's going to help them with that. They need to be conscious of their strengths. And like I said before, their resources. The social worker should make sure that if at any point the client is feeling negative or unworthy, anything like that, the social worker needs to let the client know that you are strong and you're here. That's the first step, and I have resources for you. Let me help you. They need to continue to remember that remember the strengths during the intervention process. It's going to help them think differently and act differently, maybe outside of the counseling session. There are strategies within this approach that help kind of come to a solution for the goal setting, and it's a miracle question and an exception question. The exception question is to help the client think of some ideas. An example would be, what are you doing when this symptom isn't happening? Or what do you want to continue to happen? The miracle question is more to help the client realize that there are solutions. Like, think about some more concrete solution. Basically, an example would be, What happened if you woke up tomorrow and the problem was no longer a problem? Well, how would you know that the problem was no longer a problem? What would be different about your life if that problem was no longer there? Once the social worker has completed all 3 of these steps, they should go into an end of the session discussion and kind of give some feedback and evaluate the client's progress. This is more of a short-term approach, like I said earlier. So when the social worker decides that termination is due and services are no longer needed, they're going to need to ask the client questions such as, what will you do to make sure that you do not need to come back and see me? What do you expect your hardest challenges to be? When these challenges occur, what can you remember to do or to say or who to go to help you resolve these issues? These questions are to help the client identify strategies on maintaining the improvements that the social worker has worked on and the strengths that they have identified. My name is Shelby. Thank you so much for coming in today. I want you to know that before we start, everything you say is confidential. The only time that anything would leave this room is if you wanted to harm yourself or possibly harm someone else. Okay. Is that all right with you?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. So why don't you tell me a little bit about why you're here?
Okay, so I guess you could say I'm in an abusive relationship. A few years ago, my husband started cursing at me and calling me bad names and everything, and it's kind of escalated from then to now. He is controlling and he's starting to hit me. He hits me around our kids. That's something that I don't want them to see, and I'm just here to kind of get some help.
Okay. So what I'm kind of hearing is that you do want to get out.
Yes, I want to get out.
Okay.
Yes.
And that it kind of escalated from him cursing at you to actually putting his hands physically on you.
Yes.
Okay. Well, what was different in the past when the problem was not a problem?
The main thing I would say is myself.
Okay.
I feel like I'm a different person. I'm not happy, and it's hard to put on a front in front of the kids like I'm happy when I'm not.
Right.
I feel like I'm walking on eggshells all the time in my own house. I was bubbly and outgoing and had so many friends, and he's kind of cut all my friends off, or none of my friends really want to come around because they just don't want to be around him and the negative energy. So I would have to say that I'm what's different.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is that you have actually changed,
Mm-hmm.
and that it's almost your personality. You don't have your friends around anymore for that support, and that you do want to get back to your old self.
Yes.
Okay. Well, let's talk about where we're going to go from here.
Okay.
Let's focus more on possible futures and more positive talk. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you kind of state some goals that you have in mind for, like you said, you did want to leave the situation. So why don't you kind of tell me some goals that you have?
Well, I think my number one goal is, like you said, I want to get out. I want to move out of the house. I want to take my kids. I'm not letting my kids stay with him. I refuse. When I'm not there, he could start abusing them, and that's the situation that I will not put my kids in that. I want a divorce. I want a divorce. I have my mind made up. Like I said, it's been going on for years. I want to move forward and get a divorce. And those are some of my goals right now.
Okay. Well, I'm very glad to hear you say that child abuse is something that absolutely will not put up with.
Mm-hmm.
It's very admirable that you actually came to me, and I'm very eager to help you, and I hope that we can come to a solution. Let's kind of talk more about how we're going to get to your goals, how we're going to reach these goals, because I know you said you wanted to move out,
Mm-hmm.
you wanted a divorce, you want the kids to be away from him.
Mm-hmm.
So let's kind of figure out how we're going to get to these goals.
Well, my mom kind of knows everything that's going on between me and my husband. She always says that I can move in with her, but I just don't want to be a burden on her. You know, she's older. I have 2 kids. I don't want to just kind of come in and take over her house.
Right.
But that is an option.
Okay.
And I think that might be my best option right now, especially with getting out of the house and getting out of the situation.
Okay. So, what do you think one of your biggest challenges would be upon trying to leave the house, take the kids with you? What would be kind of a challenge?
I think the biggest challenge as far as leaving the house would be him not allowing me to leave the house. Him getting even more physical and things escalating worse. I think this might be something that I have to do when he's not home.
Okay.
And don't let him know where I'm going. Another challenge that I've been thinking about is I don't really know how to go about the whole divorce process or separation or child support. Like, I don't even know where to begin with that.
Okay.
This is my first marriage. I don't know where to go.
Okay. Well, as far as not knowing where to go, I can help you with that. I have resources that can turn you to a lawyer, and you can have a free consultation and kind of just get some legal advice, and we can kind of go from there with that.
Okay, that would be great.
Okay? And as far as you actually leaving the house and having to do it when he's not there, I think that is the best option, because I feel that if it has escalated to violence, that he could try to stop you, potentially. Do you plan to take the children with you? I believe you said that.
Yes.
Okay.
They're coming. Like, that's not even an option. Like, they're coming.
Which could bring up another legal matter, because he does have rights. So how would you like to go about that?
Honestly, I don't want him to see the kids.
Okay.
I don't want him to see them, any visitation, any custody, none of that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think before that's even a topic, he would need to get some type of help himself.
Okay. So that'd be something that you bring up to the lawyer as well?
Yes.
Okay. So let's say when we leave here, you go back to your house and things get bad, or let's say you leave by tomorrow. Crazy. Let's say you leave by tomorrow, and he comes and finds you. What can you remember when things get kind of hard for you?
If that situation happens, I know that I can always contact you. I know I can come in. I know you have walk-in sessions where I can come in and, have a little conversation to maybe, like, de-escalate the situation or kind of help me to calm down and think rationally. I have my mom there for support. I can call 911. I have some resources.
Okay.
And then after, speaking with you about the lawyer, that's even a possibility. I could call and say, hey, what do I do? So I have plenty of people that I can reach out to now.
Okay. And that's what's really important, Brittany. And I thank you for coming to me and talking to me and putting trust in me to talk about this uncomfortable situation that you're in. And I want you to know that I really do want to get to a solution, and that you are very strong for even thinking about wanting to leave, let alone coming and talking to me about possibly leaving someone that you saw fit to have children with, spend the rest of your life with. So that's very admirable. And if you want, we can schedule you in. Let's say, when would be comfortable for you to come back in? What would be a good time frame for you to talk to your mom, see some other possibilities of getting out of the situation?
I think 2 weeks.
2 weeks? Okay, well then let's set that up and we'll go from there.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Hey, Brittany.
Hey.
Thank you for coming back in.
Thanks for having me.
You seem cheerful. You seem very happy. So why don't you kind of tell me what's been going on?
Oh, well, I moved out the house.
Oh, okay.
I moved out 9 days ago today. I moved in with my mom, like we talked about last session. I actually ended up speaking with a lawyer. Those things aren't all the way settled, but I did get a restraining order 4 days ago. So, that's just like a relief in itself. My mom's been a help with the kids. She, has helped me wash them and feed them and just, the whole 9 yards. Like, it's been great. So I haven't had contact with him at all. Like, no contact in 4 days for the first time since we've been together.
Okay.
And it feels good. Like, it's still kind of, in my mind, I'm wondering if I did the right thing, but I know I did.
Okay, so what I'm hearing you say is that you're happy to be out of the house,
Mm-hmm.
and you haven't talked to him in, did you say 4 days, 3
Yep.
days?
4 days.
4 days?
Mm-hmm.
And you're okay with that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean, I kind of go back and forth, but...
Which is understandable.
Right.
You were married for so long.
Mm-hmm. But it feels good. I feel free, and I'm kind of getting back to my old self, like we talked about last time, like, yeah, it just feels good. And I've actually gotten in contact with some of my close friends again. We plan to have lunch soon, so.
Good. I'm really glad to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
As far as him knowing where you live, and the only reason I'm asking is just for your safety and the children's safety, does he know where you're staying?
As of right now, he has no idea.
Okay.
I'm sure he'll find out soon, since we are in a small community,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody kind of knows everybody. But as of right now, he doesn't know. In the restraining order, if he breaks the restraining order, like, to my understanding, he'll do jail time.
Okay.
So hopefully he won't be crazy enough to do that.
Right. Okay. So now let me ask you about the kids.
Okay.
Have you thought about setting up possible visitation hours, or how is that going with the lawyer? I know you said you talked about the restraining order. Did you
Mhm.
ever speak on the children?
Yes, we did. I'm still set in my ways that he is not going to see the kids.
Okay.
Not till he gets help.
Right.
And my lawyer's we're still trying to figure out the whole agreement and everything, and the separation papers and stuff. It's going to be a long process, but I don't want him to see the kids.
Okay.
Not until he gets help.
I can understand that.
Mm-hmm.
So, is there anything that you want to continue to work on, or do you have any more goals? Because as far as we talked about, you've at least made a step towards your goal, or you've almost reached your goal. Is there anything else that you'd like to do in the future?
There actually is.
Okay.
I've been looking at jobs out of state.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so hopefully I'll be moving out of state within the next 6 months if I get this job.
Okay.
So that's another goal that I hope to reach.
Okay. Well, how would you plan on getting to that goal? I know you said you applied for some
Mhm.
places. Have you heard anything back, or have you been looking at houses? Like, how would you go about that?
I don't really know. I haven't been looking at houses yet. I've just been looking at jobs.
Okay.
So I guess that would be
Right.
a next step.
Mhm.
It's definitely looking at somewhere to stay. So yeah, that's something that I haven't thought about and I need to do.
Okay. Well, I'm really glad to hear that. You're doing very well, and I
Mhm.
hope that within, next time we meet, that you'll have more progress to give to me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? All right.
Sounds good.
When would be a good time for us to see each other again?
I think maybe another 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay, that works.
Okay.
You want to just set that up? That'll work.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Solution-focused therapy has its advantages and its disadvantages. Some advantages are that it is short-term. It focuses primarily on what the client wants and what the client needs. The client's self-esteem is also boosted due to the social worker pointing out the strengths and the resources that the client has. Also, it builds respect and trust. But with the trust, it can also be a disadvantage. So some disadvantages would be that the social worker has to trust that what the client is saying is really what they mean. In solution-focused therapy, there is no digging or interpreting what the client might mean. We have to just trust that what they're saying is what's really happening. As far as what's really happening, it's another disadvantage because the social worker has to trust that what the client says happen. So for example, if they come back for a second session and they say that they've completed the homework or the goals that they've set, we have to trust that that's what they did. There is no investigating and asking for proof. No, you just trust it and you move on. Also, another issue is that if the social worker is in the goal setting stage and the client isn't putting enough challenge in the goal, it can be an issue, but the social worker can't do anything because the client has to set their own goals. The only thing the social worker can do is make sure that they're strength-based. So that causes a problem because the client doesn't truly believe how strong they are and doesn't believe that they can fully utilize their strengths. critiquing myself for the first part. I feel like I looked down at my bullet points more than I looked up at the camera. I tried to look at the bullet points and elaborate more on what I know, and when I was reviewing it, it seemed like I was more reading, and even if I wasn't reading, I was still looking at the camera rather than looking up. I say a lot. I just now realized that. I need to get better because I was also doing it in the second session. And it almost seems like you're not sure of what you're going to say next, and it might make the client feel uneasy or that you're not qualified. So that is something that I need to work on being more conscious about. For the second part, I messed up mid-part. I got confused a little from the desired goals to the intervention. I got a little mixed up and I had to pause it, gain composure, figure out where I was at, and then restart it again. So there's a little glitch there, but I was on the right track, but I felt like I was kind of just going on and on rather than staying focused on the solution. I felt like I kind of lost where I had it in my head. To end on a positive note, I feel like I was really engaged in the client. I made sure that I was excited with her when she was excited. She was very surprised that she could leave and move in with her mom, so I felt like she expressed her excitement, I expressed it with her, and it almost kind of built that rapport that we do have the same goals. Her goals are my goals. I want to help her achieve those, so I feel like that made her feel more comfortable. Also, I feel like when she was speaking, I was reassuring her that she would say, I'm not going to put up with child abuse, and I was nodding my head, or I was saying, right, okay, that's understandable, definitely. Just little side notes in between or while she was talking, just to let her know that that's a good step in the process. That's good. Continue to think like that, basically. That can also turn into a negative, because if she was a substance abuse victim in a different case or something, or she was drinking underage, if a client was telling me that they drink underage, and I was saying, right, okay, gotcha, when I'm taking in the information, they might interpret that as, oh, well, the counselor said it was okay. So it could go both ways, but I feel like for this specific situation, it was good. It helped build that rapport and trust. I feel like I was engaged very well. And as far as the first section, I think that I got a lot of information out of this chapter. I learned a lot by having to teach myself and then make bullet points, and then having to remember what goes under those bullet points. It really helped me basically learn better or more in depth about this approach. And I really enjoyed this assignment. Thank you.